My friends that went to corporate, right, they got jobs at Deloitte and Ernst & Young, et cetera, et cetera. All of them want to do entrepreneurship. And a lot of them tell me about it. They're like, man, I'm just going to do this for a couple of years, then I'm going to get out as soon as the right opportunity comes, as soon as I get the right amount of cash stockpiled in my bank account, something. They're always like waiting for something, but everybody wants out, and everybody wants to do entrepreneurship. And Daniel and I, upon graduating, had a difficult choice to make, right? It was to go to Deloitte or something, or risk quite a bit, really, to pursue entrepreneurship. And for me, it just came down to what I want to be able to tell myself like 5 years from graduation. Do I want to be that guy that's still sitting in a cubicle, waiting for the right opportunity to come along, or do I want to be able to say that I at least tried it, right? That I at least gave it everything I had for a bit of time and tried to make it work. So we're just going to kind of go through our history a little bit. Daniel's going to tell you a little bit about ourselves, and then we'll tell you kind of our stories, successes, failures, etc.
Okay, let's see if my mic works. There you go. There you go. So, Jeff and I are really poor people. We don't have any money. Legitimately, we've raised quite a bit of money in the last couple of months, and I don't know where the money went. So we still don't have any profits from it. But for me, I'm originally from Guatemala. I've told this story quite a bit, so some of you might already have heard it. But in Guatemala, 75% of the population is self-employed. So if you're born and raised there, there is no such thing as corporate America or corporate Guatemala. That just doesn't exist. So my father, when he was very young, he was actually very, very poor. And he understood that to survive in Guatemala, you actually have to start your own company. How many of you have served a mission in Guatemala or Central America? Raise your hands. So just quite a bit of you. Okay, cool. So you kind of know what I'm talking about. And it was very difficult. So when I was 13 or 14 years old, my father approached me and he said, look, I'm going to give you $10 or $20. I don't know what the currency was back then, the exchange, but it was somewhere around $20. And he said, I'll give you this if you can double it in a month. So I started thinking about my resources and things that I can do to double that amount of that money to make $40 in a month. And I realized that I had a really beautiful Labrador dog. And I say, well, wouldn't it be amazing if I can just have this dog have puppies and I can sell them? So that's how I started. I started selling puppies. And the first time I sold 10 puppies and I made like $5,000. And so I was like, whoa, this is awesome. I can keep doing this. So I convinced my mom to buy 4 other Labradors. So we had 5 Labradors in our backyard and I was consistently selling puppies. So there was a time in my life where we had like 45 dogs in my backyard. And my mom was going nuts. She is crazy. She didn't like that at all. But I was making a lot of money. So I think that year we ended up selling in revenue close to $200,000. And profits less than that, obviously. But that was awesome for me. But my mom could not stand it anymore. So I had to find a different business opportunity besides selling dogs. So another business that I really liked was I was sitting with my brothers and we're like, man, this dog thing was awesome. How can we leverage that? Or what can we find that we are really passionate about that we can sell? And we realized pretty easily that we were really passionate about food and that we really liked cinnamon rolls. And my mom's cinnamon rolls were extremely popular at school. Every time I brought one of my mom's cinnamon rolls, I had all my friends at school just eat it all up. And so I was like, geez, what if I can have my mom make one cinnamon roll and I can sell it? So that's how I started. My mom made a cinnamon roll. I went to school and I sold it. So I was like, geez, okay, someone bought it. I can make something off of this. So I had 3 of my friends saying, look, if you can sell 10 cinnamon rolls, I'm going to give you one for free. And in 2 days, they sold like 80 cinnamon rolls. So I had to give them quite a bit of free cinnamon rolls. And that's how it started. At one point, I was selling so many cinnamon rolls in my high school that the cafeteria started complaining because they were running out of business. And so they had to stop me from making business at school. And then from there, we grew into being the largest distributors of cinnamon rolls in all Central America until Cinnabon entered the market and just completely killed us and killed our business. So We made a lot of money there, but we had to find for something new. But at that point, I wanted to learn how to grow a scalable business. I didn't want to just be making cinnamon rolls every day in my house. I wanted to do something a little more scalable. So I came to Brigham University with the idea that they can teach me how to grow a more scalable business. And then Jeff was working at the same time with his own stuff, which I'll let him talk about what he's been working on.
So my story, I served a mission in Mexico, Veracruz, Mexico, and loved it, and became just fanatical about like goal setting and accountability, et cetera, all the structured stuff that makes a mission so awesome. And I had the little missionary planner, the spiral-bound daily planner thing. Came home from my mission, got a job at Northrop Grumman, which makes aircraft carriers and missiles and stuff, and really didn't like it, to be honest. But at the same time, I was like, man, I want to keep planning my life. And so I started looking for planners, didn't really like any of them, and I had gotten really used to my missionary planner. And so I thought, I'll just get an adapted return missionary version of this. I'm sure it exists. And so I searched online, called BYU bookstore, went all over the place, and I couldn't find one. And I just thought, this is ridiculous. I can't believe the world has neglected this great need of mine. And I was like a little bit angry at the universe, And so I thought, well, fine, let's make my own. And so I designed the return missionary planner, which took forever because I'm not a designer. I don't have any design skills. So I opened up Excel, PowerPoint, and Word and just designed the whole thing in like this crazy combination of those three file types. Sent it to my dad to save as a PDF, had a few printed out, and I started using it. And obviously, I don't know that it took any time for me to realize that other people might want this too. So I put up a really bad website that also took me like 100 hours to make because I had no idea what I was doing. And probably should have taken 20 minutes. That's what it would take now. And started selling those. And then I came to BYU and thought I should sell these in the BYU bookstore because, why not? That's where all the RMs are. And so I walked into the buyer's office. His name's Paul Buss, and he's an awesome guy. And I walked in with a planner. I had dressed up, I had a suit and tie on. I had my whole pitch figured out. I'd practiced it with my dad on the phone a few times. And I knew exactly what his rebuttal was going to be and how I was going to combat it and get him to buy these planners for me and try it out. And so I walked in and sat down and showed him the planner and told him that I'd sold, like 13 or something online. And gave him the whole pitch. And he just kind of looked at me. And I was like, here it comes. Bring it, Paul, And he said, all right, we'll take 200. We'll give it a shot. And I was like shocked because I had no idea what to do from there. And so I just sat there and kind of looked at him for like a few seconds, just didn't say anything during the headlights. And he said, so I'll get you a purchase order and you bring me the planners, So he gave me a purchase order, and I hadn't actually figured out production. I just assumed, I was like, this planner I could probably print for $1. Turns out that you can't print those for $1. And so I went to Alpha Graphics, and the lowest quote that I got for the planners was like $3.80 a piece. I was selling them to BYU for $2.50 a piece. But I thought, you know what? I have some money saved up from working in Northrop, and this will be good education, so I'll just go for it. So I just bought, I ordered 400 planners, gave 200 of them to BYU at a loss, and tried to make up the difference by selling them online. And long story short, I went in there yesterday to catch up with Paul, and he said that before they started carrying the planners, they sold, I don't remember what the number was, some like really low number of undated planners per year. And then as soon as they picked up the RM Daily Planner, it increased their undated planner sales by 7,000% and has been just consistent year after year. And so that was really cool to hear, especially because I'm not actually involved in that anymore. I sold it to another company 2 years after I started it. But it was a good success. I kind of had beginner's luck there. And contrasting that work with the work I was doing at Northrop made me really interested in entrepreneurship. I loved it. I loved starting that little planner business, and I just despised the Excel work that I was doing all day at Northrop. You have a question? Yeah. Yeah, eventually, so the first run I did at a loss. Just to see if would sell at BYU. And then in the meantime, I started looking for other printers. I finally found one in Georgia that could print them for a profit for me. So eventually got the cost down. And then, yeah, it was profitable. It wasn't losing money the whole time. Yeah, so at Northrop, I remember my manager, I shouldn't have said who I was working for. Whatever. So my manager one day came in, and I was working on this spreadsheet, and like doing this data entry stuff and scanning files in and saving them into folders. And my manager came in and sat down with me as I was working on some spreadsheet. And I was just asking her questions about the company and what she learned and what was cool about it, what she liked about it. And she showed me the spreadsheet. She was like, this is really cool. And she showed me like some shortcut, like Control F or something to speed up some function that I was trying to do. And she was like, yeah, after a long time of being here, you start learning these like really cool tricks and getting really good at this job. And I thought, if that's what I'm going to learn after like 20 years of working here, is Control F, I am so out. And so I never went back. But anyway, so planner business was great. After it hit a ceiling, it kind of hit like this sales ceiling. I couldn't really figure out how to make it grow after that. I had an opportunity to sell it, so I did. And I started talking to a friend in the parking lot of McDonald's, wherever McDonald's is around here. And we had some crazy idea for this social media marketing company that we thought would be really cool. And so that was at like 10 a.m. at McDonald's parking lot. I went to work, came home, and we built a really bad but functional website to test out this idea. And we posted links to it on Facebook, and that night we had 30 users of this service we were creating. And so that was pretty cool. And the lesson there, I think, for anyone that wants to start something in here is you can do it so fast. And if you're looking for ideas, there's a term called prototyping. So before prototyping, there's prototyping. And there's a guy that works at Google that gives a talk on prototyping that's really good. But it's basically about that, testing ideas really quickly. So we built this website. Same day we had around 30 users. We thought, maybe this will work. And with those 30 users, we went and got our first clients. So we actually had revenue in the door within a week or two of that. And it all just worked. And so then we went through the business plan competitions, et cetera, and did okay. And eventually sold that company to a company in Texas. And so that's still operating profitably. And after that, I don't know what I did. I can't remember. But at some point, January, Daniel and I started working together on the class.
So I graduated this last December. I did an internship at Deloitte in San Francisco, great firm if you're interested in consulting. But I had similar experience than Jeff where I just wasn't enjoying my whole experience, that I wanted to do something innovative, something that I could just completely own. And so I was going consulting route until I graduated, and then I started associating with some of my friends that were doing consulting. And when all that pressure kind of left, I realized that I hated consulting and actually hate consultants in general too. Just don't tell that to anyone. Saying, it's so annoying. And I just realized that I was like, geez, why don't I just do my own stuff again? That's the reason why I came to the United States in the first place. And so I talked to Jeff. I don't know. So first of all, I said, well, it would be cool if there was a class at BYU where students run every single aspect of a startup so they can get some real experience. So I thought it was so cool. I walked in the office of Scott Peterson here at Rollins Center. I said, Scott, I have this great class idea. What if students run every aspect of a company? And I don't know if you noticed, but moving things forward here at BYU could be a little bit slow. But I thought, that was so cool. I just graduated, and I can start teaching a class in January, like 2 weeks after graduation. And I thought I could be an adjunct professor and just start doing it. Well, I somehow convinced Scott Peterson that was a good idea, and he let me do it. So he said, yeah, but just grab 10 students, right? So we grabbed 9 students. I think one of our students is here. Raise your hand, Nathan. There you go. And after I said that, I was like, geez, I don't know what I'm doing. So I called Jeff and I said, Jeff, what are you up to? Like, what are you doing in life? And he's like, well, I'm just trying to figure something out with what's my next opportunity. So I said, do you want to teach a class with me? And he said, yeah. And he's like, what is it about? And I was like, I don't know. So we start talking about, just don't tell this to Scott Peterson when he gets here. But we start talking about different opportunities and things that we could do. And we realized that we were huge fans of eliminating risk that comes to taking physical products to market. And we realized that crowdfunding was a huge and amazing opportunity for entrepreneurs to test their business ideas, particularly for physical products, without taking any risk and just taking it to market. So we started at this Kickstarter class or crowdfunding course here at BYU. We grabbed 9 students, and Jeff and I were like, man, geez, let's hope that the students somehow make at least $200 so we can say we made revenue in our class. Well, what happened is this 9 awesome students created 3 different products and did over $40,000 in revenue in the first semester. So Jeff and I were like, whoa, that was awesome, and that was super lucky. But let's do it again, right? So we talked to Scott Peter and said, you know what, this is awesome. We raised $40,000, so he got really excited. So he said, like, let's do it again. And so it transitions to this semester where we did it again. This time we had 130 students apply to the course. We only took 21. 21 students created how many projects? Like 7?
9.
9 projects, and now they're at 50?
I think a little over 40.
So a little over $40,000 in revenue again. But so one of them has a huge purchase order from a big retailing company somewhere in the U.S. And so we're going to end up the class making like close to $130,000 in revenue for the first 2 semesters. So that's awesome. We really love teaching the class, and we thought it was super valuable for students. If you're interested in knowing how to take the class, just go to crowdfundingweekend.org/BYU. You have to apply to get in, but if you're interested, come talk to us afterwards. But we were teaching that was amazing, but then all of a sudden we start getting, people start contacting us and said, hey, how do I launch my own Kickstarter? You guys are professors, you can help me do my own Kickstarter. So we said, yeah, we can do that. And we thought we were so cool again, and we said, what if we do an event series company where we teach people how to launch their products via Kickstarter. So you come with a physical product idea, and at the end of the day, you're starting making money, basically. So we did an event here at BYU. We convinced Scott Pearson that was a great idea, so they sponsored it. And again, so there's a great place to be at BYU. But we did it, and the first day, we got like 20 people show up to the event. It was a 2-day event. By the end of the event, the first day, there was only like 1 person there. The next day we show up to the event, and like the room was closed, and no one had shown up. And I was like, Jeff, this is terrible. This is a really bad event. We should never do this again. But Jeff was really passionate about it, and we're like, yeah, we should do it again. And so we did another event at UVU, and it was just really bad again. Just people hated us. Someone wanted to sue us because we were just garbage, apparently. But we kept doing it for some reason, and we got contacted by Rocket Hub, which is the 3rd largest crowdfunding platform in the world. And they said, look, come to Houston, you run an event, I'll pay you guys, you don't have to worry about anything, just fly in on Saturday, fly out, and see how that goes. We did it, and it went awesome. It was an amazing event. The people there just really had a lot of fun, and they launched a lot of projects, and it was incredible. So we got contacted by another website called The Grommet and say, hey, let's do the same thing. I'll fly you guys into Houston, and I want you guys to help us run the event. We'll got everything covered. We flew into Houston. It was an amazing event again. And so we started getting really good at this, and so we're going to Hawaii here tomorrow and everything. But the point of this is we started doing this when we were really, really, really bad at it. And we just claimed ourselves as being like the professionals in the field, and people started believing us. And all of a sudden, we became the professionals in the field of crowdfunding. But once after we doing all these events, we were having a lot of fun. It was really hard to grow, though. We were getting some revenue from it, but we couldn't find a sustainable way to grow this and make it very, very scalable. So we thought of different business ideas that we can do that are a little more scalable, and that's how we got into an accelerator program here called Boom Startup. Some of you might have heard about it. They invest $20,000 in exchange for 6% equity to put you in a very robust program to accelerate your startup. So we got in there. They only invest in tech startups, and we were the only startup that was doing events, right? That is just unheard of because it's not scalable. We got in, and then some investors were just very harsh at us and said, what are you guys doing here? Events? Like, that is the worst business idea that I've ever heard. So we were under a lot of pressure to come up with a different business idea, and that's when Pivoter came to place.
Pivoter. Real quick, I just want to touch on something that Daniel mentioned. With the event series, great example, it was legitimately really, really bad. In fact, Daniel said he wanted to not do it again on that second day, that Saturday. He wanted to put a sign up on the door that said event canceled, just handwritten, event canceled, tape it to the door, and leave before anyone else showed up. was like, Jeff, let's get out of here before they come. But we stuck it out, and I think that kind of the lesson there is that we put a lot of pressure on ourselves for things to work the first time, and I think I see a lot of parallels to this in dating too, right? People get really frustrated when like a date doesn't work out or a relationship doesn't work out. Entrepreneurship is surprisingly similar to dating. But something that I've found helps is to redefine success. If your idea of success is marriage, for example, in dating, you're going to fail all the time. And you're going to feel like you're failing all the time because your idea of success is marriage, right? In entrepreneurship, if your idea of success is to sell a company for $50 million, you're going to fail all the time. Or in the event series, if the idea of success is to have a single, have our first event be a success, it's going to be really brutal. And so redefining success for yourself and figuring out a way to view success in a way that is more realistic and more controllable has been a huge, huge help for us to keep the morale up. Because at the end of the day, it's really hard to start stuff. Most things are just going to fail, right? I don't know what the statistics are, but you always hear these crazy numbers like 9 out of 10 new businesses fail, or whatever it is. So as you guys are going forward with entrepreneurial endeavors, maybe just keep that in mind, right? That the idea isn't for the first thing you try to be a wild success, but it's over time to have success, right? And to do the things that you're doing really well. Okay, so Pivoter. That was a great interlude to this. Pivoter was a failure, just total, complete, utter failure. And, there are a lot of reasons for that, but the thing that was tough about it was we did a lot of customer validation. Have you guys read Nail It and Scale It? Anyone? Who's familiar with like the lean startup methodology, customer interviews, validation? Is any of this sounding familiar? Okay, so here's the new thing in entrepreneurship, kind of new, is, oh, cool, here it is. So the new thing in entrepreneurship is instead of just going and building a business and hoping that the world will accept it after 2 years of development and $1 million of investment, you start validating your idea up front. So you say, hey, I have this idea for a new website, for example, Pivoter, and you go talk to your target customers. So you go talk to people who might use it and say, this is what we're planning on building. What do you like about it? What don't you like about it? Would you use it if we built it? And based on that data, you can figure out whether or not it's a good idea, theoretically. So we did that. Daniel and I went out and interviewed, I think, somewhere around 100 people who were our target customer for Pivoter. And what Pivoter does is allows you to pre-sell items over and over and over and over. So this guy sells this T-shirt, but you'll notice, so this one, oh, interesting. So he has sold zero units of his 40-unit goal this round, 3 days left. But he's completed 5 rounds of pre-sales with this and made around $3,000. So instead of carrying inventory, instead of like guessing which sizes he's going to have to produce and stuff and just holding those in inventory, he gets a bunch of pre-orders over a 30-day period, and then at the end of that, he ships them all out. And then Pivoter just resets for the next pre-order period. Is this making sense? Okay, cool. So we pitched that idea to a bunch of people. We were like, what would you like it if you could do this cyclical pre-ordering system for your physical products? And then you don't have to carry inventory and there are all these benefits. And 98 out of 100 people said yes. Said, yeah, we would totally use this. I remember one conversation in Subway. We bought this guy lunch, and he was like, I love this idea. Definitely do it, and when you do, I'm going to sell these, my products on it. So we spent some time, a couple months, building Pivoter. And once we had it built, we went back to these 98 people, and we said, here it is. This is what you said you wanted. We built it. Use it. And 98 out of the 98 people did not use it. And that was shocking. That was really shocking. It was heartbreaking to some extent. And what we learned was that validation, like these customer interviews, are not necessarily representative of true success. Because, for one, you're never going to get a sample size that's representative. Two, if you just bought someone lunch and you're sitting across the table from them and it's 2-on-1, right? Daniel and me like cram this idea down this guy's throat, telling him how awesome it is. He's probably going to tell us that he likes it, and then he's going to use it. And at the end of the day, he just didn't. So what we learned is that customer validation interviews are great for directional feedback, like should this be green or blue types of stuff. But in terms of true validation, like binary, yes, no, this will or will not work, it's totally off track. And the only thing that really works is actually selling stuff, like actually making people give you dollars in exchange for whatever it is you're providing for them. And if you think about it from like a scientific perspective, that makes sense, right? Because you're actually testing the true hypothesis, which is that people will buy your stuff, whereas or interviews and things like that are just kind of miss the mark. So this was a just total failure. We spent a couple months and a bunch of money building it, and yeah, at least we learned something.
We did. So we learned that having people pay for an idea even before it's built it's for us absolutely necessary when you're doing your startup. So we started talking to some companies that hold have a lot of money and have real estate, and we said, hey, we're looking for our next opportunity. We want to understand what are some of the needs that you have as a company, so that we can solve it. And they said, you know what? As a matter of fact, we do have a huge need that would be awesome for you guys to fix it by doing a software. And so we said, well, great. Well, tell us about it. We'll fix it, and we'll take it from there. So he told us the idea. We did some additional research, and we found out that this idea that he was telling us was actually a big pain in the market, and we thought that we can actually legitimately solve it and make a lot of money. So we went back to this person and said, awesome. We think this is a great idea, and we have the power to actually do it. But for us to get an idea, see if this is actually something that you really need, we want you to pay for it up front. And he literally just laughed at us, just completely laughed at us and say, you guys are crazy. If you think that you're going to come here and I'm going to give you a business idea and now you're asking me to pay for it, you're nuts. And what we found is a lot of times people just don't really like that, Say, hey, give me an idea and have it and pay for it. But that's how it should work. That's how it should work. And so we told him, okay, fine, then we won't do it. And he got a little bit angry at us. But guess what? If you're not making people angry in entrepreneurship once in a while, you're not doing your job correctly. So we said, okay, so that's a dead end. Pivoter's a dead end. What's next? So right before we actually built Pivoter, we built a very small, simple, stupid tool that we thought it would be cool to have, and it's called Prefundia. And basically what it is before you launch your product into Kickstarter or to the market, it's really important for you to accumulate a lot of emails before you launch so you can have a very strong momentum day one, and media can capture a lot easier, and it's just way better for you if you have a lot of followers day one. So we thought, man, it would be cool if we can build a quick platform where people can post their projects before they launch on Kickstarter. And they just post it in, trying to get some emails, and then notify the emails when their project launched. So we built that. We didn't think it was that cool, so then we started working on Pivoter. But after 3 weeks after we built it, 3 months after we built it, and we had dead end with Pivoter, dead end with the real estate company that we told you about, we looked back into Pivoter. We kind of forgotten a little bit and said, Prefundia. We said, I wonder how Prefundia is doing. And we look at some of the key indicators on Prefundia and our Google Analytics, and we realized that Prefundia was working. People were using Prefundia. They were posting their projects. They were doing marketing for their own pages. They were capturing emails. They were launching on Kickstarter. And not only it was working, but it was actually growing. And Jeff and I, we hadn't done a thing on it for 3 months straight. So we said, if it's working, let's make it grow. Let's turn back into Prefundia and see how we can come up with it. And let me kind of pull it up here so you can see what it is. There you go. It's a very simple place where people put their project they're working on and trying to capture email addresses before they launch. Super, super simple. And what we found is the only reason why Prefundia was growing is because project creators were posting their projects there. They were doing marketing because they wanted other people to find about this project they were doing. And so someone else would find out about Prefundia from their marketing efforts, would come to Prefundia, use it, do marketing, someone else will find out about it. And it had a little small viral coefficient because people do their marketing and they bring more people on board as project creators. So we thought that was a pretty cool loop there. And we decided to just make Prefundia our big focus. And since we've done that, we've helped over 250 project creators launch their projects on Kickstarter. Just to give you an idea, the second largest crowdfunding platform in the world is called Indiegogo. They achieve a 9% success rate. Kickstarter alone is the largest and best crowdfunding platform in the world. They reach a 44% success rate. But if you use Prefundia before launching, you're achieving a 73% success rate, which is almost double as the best crowdfunding platform platform in the world. So that was a really cool statistic. And then we started doing some research, and we've learned that we've helped this project creators raise $2.6 million in the past 3 months. And so we started pushing this, and just over the last weekend, we got featured by TechCrunch, which drew a lot of traffic. And then project creators were actually starting to pick up on marketing, and they were driving more traffic to their own page. So at the end of the day, Prefundia is working. It's doing amazing. People are paying us to do marketing for their own projects. So we think that's brilliant, right? People come say, you know, I have this wallet project on Prefundia. I want to capture more emails. Here's $1,000 for you to do marketing for my wallet project. And we take it because for us, we're doing marketing for Prefundia, right? So they're paying us to drive traffic to their own product, which is amazing. So we always take and say, for sure, we'll take you on the marketing deal because it brings a lot of marketing for our own page. And so having said that, we started now growing this, and we're looking for ways to grow, and we still have a long way to go. But it's been an incredible path for us, and although we're still in growth mode, best thing of entrepreneurship is that Jeff and I were both super happy. A week or two ago, I was talking to some of my friends that were doing consulting work. They're strategy guys, and I was talking to someone who is in McKinsey, the best consulting firm in the world in strategy. And I said, dude, how's it going, McKinsey? That's awesome. How are things going in Dallas? And he said, I absolutely hate it. I cannot wait to get out of there. Maybe in 10 months, I'll just for sure leave because I just really want to start my own stuff. And so people usually that I've talked to in those routes, they aren't very happy. Now, if that's the route that you want to go and it makes you happy, go for it. But if entrepreneurship innovation is what makes you happy, then I strongly encourage you to do it because it will be extremely fulfilling for you.
So we'll wrap up here. Just to reiterate, do you want to pull up the class site? Yeah. If you want to take the class, the Kickstarter class that we're doing in winter semester, then we'll just pull up the site, show you where to sign up for it. I think it's crowdfundingweekend.org/BYU. Is that right? Yeah. And finally, there's this awesome story that I just read that a venture capitalist wrote. He's an investor that invests like huge amounts of money, like powerful people, you know. And he wrote a story about Airbnb. Have you guys heard of Airbnb? Do you know what company that is? They help you couch surf, essentially. If you're going to fly to Boston, let's say, and you need to stay the night somewhere, you can like rent someone's couch for $20 or something. There you go. So that's the class. So this investor was saying that in their office, as soon as you walk in the door, if you turn right in the VC office, there's a box of cereal called Obama O's. And the story behind that is the guys who started Airbnb, which is by the way, huge company now. They're doing really well. The guys that started Airbnb walked into that VC firm to pitch their idea a while back, and they told a story to the VCs about how they didn't have any money, and so what they did to raise money to fund their startup was buy a bunch of Cheerios. They bought 1,000 boxes of Cheerios and made these new cereal boxes of Obama O's and Captain McCain's. Obama O's and Captain McCain's. 500 of each of those. They went to the Democratic convention and sold the boxes for $40 each. And they sold out of Obama O's. They had some Captain McCain's left, but they did. I mean, if you do the math there, they probably did $30,000 in revenue in like a day, right, selling Obama O's. And the VC firm passed on that deal. They didn't like the idea of Airbnb. At the time, they were renting air mattresses in people's apartments, and the guys, they just like couldn't get it through their heads how this was going to work, and they didn't think people would like it. But the reason they have Obama O's in their office now is it's such a cool story. The VC writes, that was a huge mistake to not invest in Airbnb, and we have this box here to remind us never to pass up on a deal like that again, that it's not the idea that matters, but it's the people behind it that matter. And it's what they've done and what they can do and what they will do. And that's where we need to invest in the future. So if you guys are willing to do what it takes, if you're willing to sell linear calendars, for example, which is something that Daniel and I are in the middle of, to fund your startups and make what you want to happen, then you'll make it work. You'll be successful. Everything will work out. I think our time's up, but thank you guys for your time.